The impossible problem. Dr. Maya Chen squinted through her microscope at the colony of extremophile bacteria she'd been cultivating for the past 6 months. As the leading microbiologist at the Antarctic Research Station, she specialized in organisms that thrived in environments that should kill them. These particular specimens had been harvested from hydrothermal vents at the bottom of the ocean, where temperatures reached over 400 degrees Celsius and pressures would crush a submarine. Tenacious little miracles, she muttered, adjusting the focus. The bacteria had not only survived her attempts to stress test them with radiation, they'd adapted. She made notes in her journal, then glanced at the time. 2:37 a.m. Another late night, but Maya had never been one to keep regular hours when research called. A rapid series of knocks at her lab door startled her. Station Director Patel never visited this late unless something was wrong. "Come in," she called, pulling off her latex gloves. Director Patel stepped inside, followed by 2 men in black suits that screamed government. Maya immediately tensed. "Dr. Chen, sorry to disturb you," Patel said, his normally calm demeanor replaced with barely concealed excitement. "These gentlemen are from the United Nations Space Administration. They need to speak with you immediately." The taller of the 2 men stepped forward. "Dr. Chen, I'm Special Envoy Wilson. How quickly can you pack for a trip?" Maya blinked. "That depends on where I'm going and for how long. We need you at the Atacama Orbital Launch Facility in Chile, today." As for duration, Wilson exchanged glances with his colleague. "Unknown at this time. But it's a matter of international security. What could possibly—" "They're here, Dr. Chen," Director Patel interrupted, his voice hushed. "First contact. Actual extraterrestrial beings. And they're asking for help." Maya felt the room spin slightly. After a lifetime of wondering if humanity was alone in the universe, the answer had arrived, and somehow needed her expertise. 12 hours later, Maya found herself being escorted through the most secure area of the Atacama facility, surrounded by military personnel and scientists from every major nation. The mood was tense but electric with excitement. "They call themselves the Thalians," Wilson explained as they walked. "Their ship entered Earth orbit 3 days ago and immediately transmitted messages in over 40 human languages. They're peaceful explorers by their account, but they have a serious problem. And they think I can help." Maya asked skeptically. "I'm a microbiologist specializing in extremophiles, not an engineer or physicist." "That's exactly why they asked for you," Wilson replied. "Well, not you specifically at first. They requested Earth's leading expert in organisms that survive in extreme conditions. Your name topped the list." They entered a conference room where a wall-sized screen displayed what appeared to be a live video feed. Maya stopped in her tracks. On screen was clearly not a human, though the being had a vaguely humanoid shape. Its skin was a translucent blue-gray that seemed to ripple subtly, with no visible hair. The face featured 4 multifaceted eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and what might have been a mouth but appeared more like a series of overlapping membranes. "Dr. Chen has arrived," Wilson announced. The alien's membranes fluttered in what Maya guessed might be acknowledgement. When it spoke, the voice emerged from speakers around the room, carefully modulated to sound neither male nor female. "Greetings, Dr. Maya Chen. I am Chief Engineer Zilith of the Thalian exploration vessel Harmony. We thank you for coming quickly." Maya managed to find her voice. "I'm honored to meet you, Chief Engineer. I understand you have a problem that may relate to my field." "Yes. Our ship utilizes a complex binaural computational system integrated with our life support. It's been contaminated by an unknown microorganism from an asteroid we surveyed in your solar system's Kuiper belt. Our engineers have tried everything in our understanding, but the contamination spreads. It threatens both our computational systems and our atmosphere processors." Maya's scientific curiosity immediately overrode her shock at conversing with an alien. "You're saying your technology is partly biological?" "Yes. We evolved on a world where the division between technology and biology never developed as it did on Earth. Our ships are grown as much as they are built. The contamination is causing cascading failures in critical systems. Wilson leaned closer to Maya. They've agreed to allow a small team aboard their vessel to assist. You'll be joining 3 engineers and a diplomat. When? Maya asked, her mind already racing through what equipment she'd need. Now, Wilson replied. They've sent a shuttle. 2 hours later, Maya found herself seated in what the Thalians called a transfer pod, a small vessel designed to transport between their main ship and planetary surfaces. Beside her sat Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, a bioengineering specialist from Japan, Colonel Sofia Rodriguez, an aerospace engineer with military clearance, Dr. Kwame Osai, a synthetic biologist, and Ambassador Diane Fisher, who had extensive diplomatic experience. The pod had no windows, only screens showing external views, and the journey to the massive Thalian ship in orbit took just under 40 minutes. When they docked, Maya felt her heart pounding against her ribs. She was about to become one of the first humans to board an alien vessel. The airlock cycled, revealing a corridor with walls that seemed almost wet, pulsing with subtle bioluminescence. The atmosphere within was breathable for humans, though slightly more humid than Earth standard. Chief Engineer Zilith waited for them, along with 2 other Thalians. "Welcome aboard the Harmony," Zilith said. "We must proceed quickly to the central processing chamber. The contamination has accelerated in the past rotation." As they moved through the ship, Maya was struck by how different Thalian technology was from human conceptions of advanced engineering. There were no sharp angles, no obvious control panels or computers as humans would recognize them. Everything seemed organic, flowing, with interfaces that appeared to meld directly with Thalian limbs when touched. "Your ship," Maya ventured. "It's alive." "In a manner somewhat analogous to your understanding." "Yes," Zilith replied. "Not conscious as we are, but responsive and adaptive. The systems are grown from specialized organisms from our homeworld, engineered over thousands of years to serve specific functions." They entered a vast chamber that Maya could only compare to a combination of a server farm and a heart. Pulsing tubules carried luminescent fluids throughout what appeared to be processing nodes, while membranes expanded and contracted in rhythm like respiratory systems. "This is incredible," Dr. Tanaka whispered beside her. "Their whole approach to technology is fundamentally different from ours. And here is our problem," Zilith said, gesturing to a section of the chamber where the healthy blue-green luminescence had turned a sickly yellow-brown. "The contamination began here in the Atmospheric Regulation Center and has spread to computation nodes. Our methods of sterilization have failed. The organism adapts too quickly." "May I take samples?" Maya asked, already reaching for her equipment. "Please, we have prepared an analysis space for your team." For the next 8 hours, Maya and her colleagues worked frantically to understand what they were dealing with. The microscopy revealed an organism unlike anything in Earth's biology, something that seemed to exist in a state between virus and bacteria, with metallic components incorporated into its structure. "It's using the ship's own minerals to replicate," Maya explained to the others as they gathered to share findings. "And it's incredibly efficient. The Thalian systems are designed for perfect recycling of materials, which ironically gives this contaminant the perfect environment to spread." "Can we kill it?" Colonel Rodriguez asked directly. "Not easily," Dr. Osai replied. "It adapts to each sterilization attempt within hours. The Thalians have already tried their equivalent of antibiotics, radiation, and even thermal treatments." Ambassador Fisher, who had been observing quietly, spoke up. "The Thalians said this came from our Kuiper belt. Could it be related to something from Earth?" Maya shook her head. "Nothing I've ever seen. But," she paused, a thought forming, "the way it adapts reminds me of the extremophiles I work with. Not the specific mechanisms, but the principle. It's exceptionally good at turning hostile interventions into opportunities." A Thalian scientist named Elith joined them, moving with the fluid grace characteristic of their species. Our engineers have calculated that at the current rate of progression, critical systems will fail within 14 of your Earth days. Without resolution, we will need to abandon ship and request asylum on your world." The implications of that statement hung heavy in the air. Earth was barely prepared for first contact, let alone refugee aliens with technology beyond human understanding. "I need to think like the contamination, not against it," Maya said suddenly. "The Thalian approach has been to kill it or remove it. But what if that's impossible? What if we need to give it somewhere else to go?" "A decoy system," Dr. Tanaka suggested. "More like a predator," Maya replied, her mind racing. "Or a competitor organism that could outcompete it for resources without damaging your ship's systems." Elith's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "This approach has not been considered. Our engineering philosophy focuses on precision and control. Introducing another variable seems chaotic." "Sometimes chaos is exactly what you need," Maya said with growing confidence. "Earth's biology is messy, competitive, and incredibly robust because of it. We don't engineer single perfect solutions. We let evolution sort it out through competition." Colonel Rodriguez frowned. "You want to introduce another potentially invasive organism into their ship. That sounds like replacing one problem with another." "Not exactly," Maya clarified. "I want to create a modified version of your ship's own bioneural cells, one that's been engineered to consume the contaminant but remain compatible with your systems. A biological countermeasure rather than a sterilization attempt." The human team and Thalian engineers debated Maya's proposal for hours. The aliens were clearly uncomfortable with such an unpredictable approach, their entire engineering philosophy built around precision and predictability. But as more systems began showing signs of contamination, Xylith made the decision. "We will attempt Dr. Chen's solution. We have no alternative options remaining." Working with Thalian biological material was challenging, but Maya's experience with extremophiles proved invaluable. For 3 days straight, she and Dr. Osai worked to create a modified version of the ship's neural cells that would aggressively consume the contaminant while remaining compatible with the ship's needs. "It's ready," Maya finally announced, looking exhausted but determined. "But I need to warn you all, this is theoretical. In nature, introducing a new species to combat an invasive one sometimes works perfectly and sometimes creates unexpected consequences." "What kind of consequences?" Ambassador Fisher asked. "Best case, our engineered cells defeat the contaminant and then reach equilibrium with the ship's systems. Worst case," Maya hesitated. "Worst case, we accelerate the system collapse." Xylith's membrane mouth fluttered rapidly, which Maya had learned indicated stress. "The contamination has reached our navigation systems. We have no choice but to proceed." The modified cells were introduced at 7 different contamination sites throughout the ship. For the first 12 hours, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the sickly yellow-brown areas began to recede, replaced not by the original blue-green luminescence, but by a slightly different blue-purple glow. "It's working," Dr. Tanaka whispered, watching the monitors. "The engineered cells are consuming the contaminant. But they're also establishing their own presence," Xylith observed. "This is not a return to original state, but a new configuration." Maya nodded. "As expected, they won't disappear. They'll reach equilibrium and become part of your ship's new normal, a biological firewall against the original contaminant." By the end of day 5, the contamination crisis appeared to be resolving. The modified cells had successfully established themselves throughout the affected systems, and ship functions were stabilizing, though with subtle differences in performance that the Thalian engineers were still adapting to. As Maya packed her equipment in preparation for the return to Earth, Xylith approached her. "Your solution was unconventional by our standards," the alien engineer said. "For thousands of years, we have approached biological engineering through principles of harmony and perfect balance. Your approach embraced competition and adaptation. Concepts our civilization moved beyond ages ago. Maya smiled tiredly. Sometimes old approaches work when new ones fail. Humans are still closely connected to our evolutionary origins. We understand struggle and adaptation because it's built into our history. Perhaps this is why we encountered difficulty. Our civilization has been stable for so long that we lost the ability to think in terms of competitive survival. Zillith's membranes arranged into what Maya had come to recognize as their equivalent of thoughtful contemplation. There is much our species could learn from each other. That's the beauty of different perspectives, Maya replied. Your technology is generations beyond ours, but our messy, competitive evolution gave us a different kind of problem-solving approach. As the human team prepared to board the transfer pod back to Earth, Ambassador Fisher engaged in final discussions with the Thalian leadership. What had begun as an emergency response was transforming into the foundation for ongoing diplomatic and scientific exchange. Maya took one last look at the vast biological engineering marvel that was the Harmony. Human and Thalian approaches to technology couldn't have been more different. One built on competition and mechanical precision, the other on harmony and biological integration. Yet in that difference lay the seeds of something remarkable. Two intelligent species with complementary strengths and weaknesses, each able to solve problems the other found insurmountable. The contamination crisis had proven that humanity had something valuable to offer the stars after all, not just our technology, but our very way of thinking, shaped by billions of years of competitive evolution on a challenging world. As the transfer pod detached from the Harmony, Maya felt a profound sense of optimism about humanity's place in a wider galactic community. Sometimes the oldest solutions were the best ones, even among the stars. Nature's way. The return to Earth was anything but a return to normal for Maya. After spending just over a week aboard an alien vessel and helping solve a crisis that could have led to an interstellar diplomatic incident, debriefings consumed her days. Military officials, scientists, politicians, everyone wanted to hear firsthand about the Thalian ship and the contamination solution. During a rare quiet moment 3 weeks after her return, Maya sat alone in her temporary office at the Atacama facility, reviewing the data she'd gathered. The modified cells she'd engineered were still functioning aboard the Harmony, sending back telemetry that showed they had reached the equilibrium she'd predicted. The contamination was gone, but the ship was forever changed, adapted like an organism that had survived disease. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Ambassador Fisher entered, looking both tired and excited. The Thalians have made a formal request, Fisher said without preamble. They want to establish a permanent scientific exchange program, with you as the lead Earth representative. Maya set down her tablet. Me? I'm just a microbiologist. There are thousands of scientists more qualified for diplomatic. This isn't about diplomacy, Fisher interrupted. It's about thinking differently. The Thalian Science Council has been analyzing what happened with the contamination crisis. They've concluded that their civilization has reached a point of stagnation is the word they used. Stagnation. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Technologically, yes, but methodologically, they've been approaching problems the same way for thousands of years. Fisher sat down across from Maya. They believe your solution, using competition and adaptation rather than control and sterilization, represents a fundamentally different approach that their civilization has lost. Maya leaned back, considering. The implications were enormous. A spacefaring civilization with technology far beyond Earth's, yet recognizing value in human approaches to problem-solving. They're sending a research vessel, Fisher continued, smaller than the Harmony, designed specifically for collaborative work. It will remain in Earth orbit, and they're requesting a team of 15 human scientists to work alongside their engineers. Before Maya could respond, her secure tablet chimed with an incoming priority message. It was from Zillith, the Thalian chief engineer. Dr. Chen, our monitoring has detected an unexpected development. The modified cells you engineered have begun to enhance certain ship functions beyond their original parameters. Processing efficiency in the affected nodes has increased by 17%. This was not in our projections. We request your insights on this emergent property. Maya showed the message to Fisher, whose eyes widened. They didn't just solve the contamination problem, Maya said quietly. They improved their systems. The competitive nature of the engineered cells pushed the ship's biological components to become more efficient, like introducing wolves to an ecosystem with too many deer, Fisher mused. The predators don't just reduce deer numbers. They make the entire deer population healthier by culling the weak. Maya nodded, a concept the Thalians seemed to have moved beyond in their engineering philosophy. They sought perfect harmony and stability instead of the creative chaos that evolution harnesses. Will you accept their offer? Fisher asked. 3 days later, Maya found herself explaining her decision to Director Patil via video conference, her old boss from the Antarctic Research Station, looking both proud and concerned. It's the opportunity of a lifetime, Maya said. Not just for me, but for humanity. The Thalians have solved problems we're still struggling with: clean energy, sustainable closed systems, biological computing. But they've hit a wall in their development by eliminating competitive adaptation from their approach. And we're supposed to teach them how to think like humans? Patel asked skeptically. Our track record with competitive systems isn't exactly spotless. Look at climate change, resource depletion, species extinction. That's exactly what makes this exchange so valuable, Maya countered. We can learn from their harmony-based approach to create more sustainable systems, while they learn from our adaptability and competitive problem-solving. It's the perfect symbiosis. The next month passed in a blur of preparations. The team of 15 scientists was selected from across Earth, representing diverse disciplines and approaches. Dr. Tanaka would lead the bioengineering contingent, while Dr. Osai focused on synthetic biology applications. Maya would coordinate the overall research direction, bridging between human and Thalian approaches. The day the Thalian research vessel arrived in Earth orbit, crowds gathered in cities worldwide to watch the live streams. Unlike the Harmony's urgent arrival, this was a planned public event, humanity's first scheduled rendezvous with an alien species. The ship, called the Synthesis, was smaller than the Harmony but still impressive, its organic-looking hull shimmering with bioluminescent patterns as it established orbit. The human team launched from Atacama in a specially designed transfer vessel, a hybrid of human and Thalian technology created specifically for the exchange program. As they approached the Synthesis, Maya felt none of the fear she'd experienced during her first journey to the Harmony. Only excitement and purpose. Zilith met them at the airlock, along with a team of Thalian scientists Maya hadn't met before. The alien engineer's skin rippled with what Maya now recognized as pleasure. Dr. Chen, welcome back. The Synthesis has been configured with accommodations suitable for human physiology. We are eager to begin our collaborative work. The human scientists were shown to their quarters, then given a tour of the research facilities. Unlike the emergency situation aboard the Harmony, this time Maya could fully appreciate the marvel of Thalian biological engineering. The ship wasn't just a vessel. It was a living ecosystem, with systems that regulated themselves through complex biological feedback loops rather than mechanical controls. Your ship doesn't have backup systems, Colonel Rodriguez noted during the tour, her engineering background making her particularly attentive to such details. At least, not in the way humans would design them. Correct, replied a Thalian scientist named Noram. Redundancy through duplication is inefficient in our approach. Instead, each system has adaptive capability, the ability to reconfigure its function if part of it fails. Like how a human brain can rewire itself after injury, Dr. Osi observed. Similar, though more deliberately designed, Noram confirmed. Yet this approach failed us when confronted with the contamination. Our systems adapted, but the contaminant adapted faster. The real work began the following day in what the Thalians called the collaboration chamber, a large circular room where both species could work comfortably. Maya stood before the assembled teams, feeling the weight of her responsibility as a bridge between two radically different approaches to problem solving. "Our mission here is unprecedented," she began. "We're not just exchanging scientific knowledge. We're exchanging philosophical approaches to technology and problem solving. The Thalians have mastered harmony-based systems, where every component works in perfect balance. Humans have excelled at creating systems that improve through competition and selective pressure." She gestured to a holographic display showing both the Earth and the Thalian homeworld, a planet they call Thale, orbiting a star some 47 light-years from Earth. "Our worlds shaped our thinking. Earth's diverse, often harsh environments forced life to compete and adapt rapidly. Thale's more stable conditions allowed for a different evolutionary path, emphasizing cooperation over competition." Zilith stepped forward. "We believe both approaches have strengths. The contamination crisis demonstrated that our philosophy of perfect harmony created vulnerability to certain types of threats, ones that your competitive evolutionary background made you uniquely suited to solve. And we have our own blind spots," Maya added. "Human technology is efficient in the short term, but often creates long-term problems through unintended consequences. We compete ourselves into corners." The first collaborative project focused on improving Earth's water purification systems using Thalian biological filtration principles. The Thalians proposed a perfect, stable system that would work flawlessly, under ideal conditions. Maya and Dr. Tanaka pointed out that Earth's water sources varied wildly in their contamination profiles, requiring an adaptive rather than fixed approach. What emerged was something entirely new, a biofiltration system that incorporated both philosophies. The basic structure used Thalian principles of harmony and balance, creating a stable foundation. But within that framework, Earth-inspired competitive elements allowed the system to rapidly adapt to new contaminants without human or Thalian intervention. "It's learning and evolving," Dr. Osei observed as they tested the prototype with increasingly challenging water samples. "But within the constraints we've established. Guided evolution." The second project reversed the dynamic. The human team helped the Thalians redesign portions of their navigation systems, introducing controlled variability that allowed for faster adaptation to unexpected space phenomena. The Thalians were visibly uncomfortable with the concept at first. Their entire civilization valued predictability and stability, but couldn't argue with the results when the prototype demonstrated 34% faster response to simulated anomalies. As weeks turned into months, the initial 15 human scientists were rotated with others from Earth, bringing fresh perspectives and specialties. Maya remained as the constant bridge between the teams, her unique experience with both the contamination crisis and extremophile adaptation making her irreplaceable. 6 months into the exchange, Maya was working late in her lab aboard the synthesis when Zilith entered, the Thalian skin pulsing with what Maya had learned was their equivalent of excitement. "We've received a transmission from the Harmony," Zilith announced. "The modified cells you engineered have continued to improve system efficiency throughout the ship. But more importantly, they've demonstrated an unexpected capability. They're protecting against new external threats." Maya looked up from her work. "What kind of threats?" "The Harmony encountered a radiation storm near what you call the Oort cloud. Sectors with your modified cells adapted to the radiation exposure 4 times faster than untreated sectors." Zilith's membranes fluttered rapidly. They didn't just solve one problem. They improved the ship's overall resilience. Maya smiled, but wasn't entirely surprised. That's how Earth's biology works. Organisms that survive one challenge are often better equipped for the next, even if it's different. Adaptability itself becomes the trait being selected for. "Our Council of Engineers has made a decision," Zilith continued. "All future Thalian vessels will incorporate this hybrid approach, our harmony-based foundation with elements of your competitive adaptation mechanisms. It represents the first fundamental change in our engineering philosophy in over 2,000 years. The significance wasn't lost on Maya. A spacefaring civilization had encountered humanity, technologically primitive by comparison, and found value not in our gadgets or resources, but in our way of thinking. Our messy, competitive, sometimes chaotic approach to problems represented something their more advanced civilization had lost along its evolutionary path. "We have something for you as well," Maya replied. "The water purification system we developed together. The UN has approved its implementation for crisis regions on Earth. The harmony principles make it more stable and longer-lasting than anything we've built before." Together, they moved to the synthesis observation deck, a transparent section of hull that offered a spectacular view of Earth below. The blue-green planet rotated slowly, cloud patterns swirling across its surface. "Your world looks chaotic from here," Xylith observed. "Unpredictable weather patterns, shifting continents, constantly changing. And yours is more stable." "Much. Fel has minimal axial tilt, a nearly circular orbit, and carefully engineered weather systems. We eliminated most meteorological extremes thousands of years ago." Maya considered this. Maybe that's why our approaches diverged so dramatically. Earth never gave us the luxury of perfect stability. We had to adapt or die. And that mindset became embedded in how we solve problems. "While we sought to create and maintain perfect harmony," Xylith added. "Both approaches brought us to the stars, but by different paths." As they stood watching Earth turn below them, Maya felt a profound sense of optimism about humanity's future among the stars. "We might not have the most advanced technology or the longest history, but we brought something unique to the galactic community, a perspective shaped by billions of years of competitive evolution on a challenging world, where adaptability itself was the greatest strength." The contamination crisis that had first brought their species together had proven that even the most advanced civilizations could face problems they couldn't solve with their existing paradigms. In the vast diversity of life and thought across the universe, perhaps there was no such thing as a superior approach, only different paths with different strengths and limitations. "I believe this is just the beginning," Xylith said, multifaceted eyes reflecting Earth's oceans. "There are other spacefaring species we've encountered, each with their own evolutionary history and problem-solving approaches. Perhaps what we're creating here, this synthesis of methodologies, is something greater than either of our civilizations could achieve alone." Maya nodded, watching her homeworld spin below. "In nature, the most successful ecosystems are the most diverse ones. Maybe the same is true for ideas and approaches across the stars." As the synthesis continued its orbit, human and Thalian worked side by side, neither teaching nor learning but creating something entirely new, a bridge between worlds not just of distance but of thought.